Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and we're heading back to the beach as we look at some great and not so great sea monster movies. We're starting off with Screamers from 1979. Now, this is an Italian film that was originally titled Island of the Fishmen. Well, that was the translated title, and it played like that in many countries. But Roger Corman's New World uh, Productions it got the U.S. rights to it, and Jim Wynorski, who at that time had yet to make his mark as a director of such things as Return of Swamp Thing and the remake of Not of This Earth. Anyway, he came up with the new title, Screamers, and filmed about 12 to 15 minutes of new footage featuring Mel Ferrar and Cameron Mitchell, most of which is in the beginning. And then that's how they put it out. Now, the real stars were Barbara Bach, who probably best known as Agent Triple X in the James Bond classic The Spy Who Loved Me, the film where Roger Moore finally came into his own. Uh, she had been a model in Italy and had an Italian husband and made some Italian movies, and then she made The Spy Who Loved Me because, they always wanted international casts. And I followed that up with Force 10 from Navarone, and then started her horror films with this one, as well as the director's follow-up, The Great Alligator, which also featured two other cast members from this film. And she then did The Unseen, which was an American horror film. And then she did Caveman, Ringo Starr's big comedy film, in which she and Ringo hit it off so well they got married. The other big, and then also we have Richard Johnson, who would do The Great Alligator with her, English actor who I know him probably best from the James Bondish films he made in the 60s, Deadlier Than the Male and Some Girls Do, because a lot of those played on TV. Those were a modernizing update of the character of Bulldog Drummond, who had been a popular English detective in the 20s. He was a post-World War One soldier, and they were very pulpy. Kind of an English version of like some of the American detectives. And character was updated to be more of a super spy. But for us horror fans, despite his many, many appearances in films and on TV, he was also in the 1963 version of The Haunting, that classic haunted house film. And he was also in Beyond the Door, which was an Exorcist knockoff with Sylvia Mills, Haley Mills' sister. And probably the one you've probably seen him in from the most, if you're a big time Italian horror fan. He was the doctor on the island in Zombie, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, or Zombie 2, the Fulci film. The one with the famous eye thing. And the last big name is true Hollywood royalty, Joseph Cotten, who was a regular with Orson Welles, having done Citizen Kane and Magnificent Amberson, as well as working on the Hitchcock classic Shadow of Doubt and starring with Orson Welles in The Third Man. In the 70s, along with TV work, he also did quite a few horror films, notably the Italian Lady Frankenstein and Baron Blood for Mario Bava. He was also in the Vincent Price classic the abominable Dr. Phibes, as well as the haunted, not well, the ghost movie, The Hearse. And one of his last ones was the 80s slasher film called Delusion, in which he was a patriarch whose mansion seems to be having a lot of mysterious deaths by skull crushing. Anyways, we open in 1891 with Mel Ferrar and his wife treasure hunting on an island because he's broke and Cameron Mitchell has dropped him off. And this island is supposed to be home of a vast treasure as well as a curse. And boy, is it ever. Ooh, nasty as all get out. Well, now we start the movie proper. And you can tell it's a different movie because it looks completely different. We're introduced to Lieutenant Claude DeRoss, who is a medical man. And he's from a prison ship. And he's in a lifeboat with 3 other survivors. Skip, or I should say 4. Skip, Jose, Peter, and Francois. And they wash up on the very same island, even though it doesn't look quite the same in the daylight. And going a little inland, they find some fresh water, and Skip decides to go looking for food. And then there's 4. Well, things are looking good for him. They find Skip dead. They decide to move even more inland when, unfortunately, the lieutenant falls into a pit trap.
Let him die too, and good riddance. All right, let me up. You're breaking my arm. Let's at least finish him off. Come on, Lieutenant.
Old Jose. Well, after getting the lieutenant out of the trap, he and Jose continue, and we'll get back to the other 2. Maybe. Anyway, they come upon a deserted village. And something even more interesting.
You're not rugged, it's true.
Oh my, it's Barbara Bach. We need to control ourselves. Anyway, she says it's an uncharted island. It is owned by a man named Rockham, and they need to go back to the beach and try to get off because he don't like trespassers. But instead they follow her to his villa. Because, wouldn't you?
Perhaps.
Who are you?
Lieutenant Claude DeRoss, medical officer on the frigate La Cayenne, which sank about a week ago.
Doctor?
Well, he doesn't seem to be that bad. He gives him shelter. I wonder why he was so intrigued about Ross being a doctor. Yeah, we'll find out eventually. Apparently Francois is dead because he ain't with the group no more. Jose must have killed him with that branch. Anyway, of course, Jose and Peter, they're put in less nice quarters than the lieutenant because they are prisoners. Anyways, Peter sneaks out and he sees Amanda, Barbara Bach, stealing away, and he follows her where he sees a most amazing sight. She's a fishman bartender.
Very funny.
Well, on her way back to the compound, we learned that Peter had something else on his mind than just spying. I don't think we need to see the rest of this scene.
And there was much rejoicing.
Well, that was lucky indeed. With the news of Peter's death, Jose snaps and tries to make a break for it. Hey, a boat! He could probably use that to get away. Or not. And then there was one. And Ross was trailing Jose. Wonder if he'll stumble upon the same thing. I think she likes him. Well, the next day, despite the scars on his chest, she tells him, oh, that was all a delusion. She ran into some brambles. He's not going to buy it. But we do learn why it is that Rackham wants the doctor alive.
You're alive because this man needs a doctor. Now do something quickly.
Very sick man. A professor, no less. Wonder what it is Rackham needs him for. Well, Ross does what he can, but he says, guy needs to go back to civilization. Hospital, there's only so much he can do here, but the professor doesn't even want to go. He's got to finish his great work. Whatever it is. And Rackham, realizing Ross is going to have to be told what's really going on, takes him to that grotto where the ship is, and into a diving bell, where he shows him a most amazing sight.
My God. What is it?
I believe that we're looking at a city of the lost continent of Atlantis.
Really? Thought that was in the Mediterranean. Or the Marianas Trench. It seems to shift now and then. Well, what does that have to do with the professor?
The original inhabitants became amphibious. Luckily for me, Professor Marvin seems to have found a way to communicate with them. He gives them some sort of potion, and they obey him. Creatures seem to become addicted.
So much so that in return they hand over their treasure. I didn't think scientists were so greedy.
Oh, Marvin's not. Good gracious me. No, I managed to persuade him that the proceeds would be used to promote his researches.
Okay. So, as long as Ross can keep the professor alive, he can make the chemical that allows Amanda to control the creatures, and they'll give Rackham all the treasures of Atlantis. So, as long as everybody does their part, He'll let them live. Such a nice guy. Of course, Ross knows a little bit something about the professor, having seen some of his notes and things in his study, and thinks that's not really what the professor's great work is. And he convinces Amanda to go with him to search the professor's real lab and find out that his research is a lot worse than what they thought.
Dear God. It's Jose.
Really? How could you tell? Well, this explains why the native village is empty. They're the fishmen. And since this was his almost friend who did save his life, he does what any other friend would do and puts him out of his misery, which doesn't sit too well with the professor.
Do you realize that in one moment you have destroyed the ultimate achievement of a lifetime's work? This is my only specimen with full human intelligence.
You criminal!
Of course, that pales in comparison when Ross reveals that the professor's work won't be carried on by others after he dies. Rackham just wants the treasure for himself, and once he's got those, he'll destroy all the fishmen the guy's made. Which Rackham comes in and tells him, yep, that's what I'm going to do.
How right you are, Doctor.
There'll be no future for you.
Well, that's going to put a bit of a crimp in his plans. Best thing to do is to take what he's got already and head out with Amanda. Oh, that just leaves the doctor to take care of. Fiendish. He does run into another slight problem because Shakira thinks a better use of Amanda would be in a voodoo sacrifice.
The sun god will rise from the abyss, and the volcano will destroy the island. We must leave, quickly.
Yes, but Amanda goes with us.
No!
Wait, there's a volcano? Okay, there is a volcano. Well, Shakira wanted to sacrifice Amanda so that because she belonged to the island and blah blah blah. Anyways, Rackham really shouldn't have shot her because that then develops a problem for him for later on. Well, while that's happening, Rackham sends down the dead body of the professor with one of the native henchmen to show them that the professor's dead. They don't react too well to it. Anyways, when they come to the surface to confront him, he holds Amanda hostage, telling them he wants the sun god, or he'll kill her, and they won't get any more liquid. unfortunately for Rackham, the potion's worn off, and they decide they're going to take everybody out. As if that wasn't bad enough for our bad guy, Ross shows up and they get into a huge fight. Oh. Well, sort of a fight. Time to make for the boat and get the heck out of Dodge.
Cast off the ropes.
Come on!
Hi, keeper.
Oh, okay. Poetic justice, as they say. And thus they sail off, and Atlantis and the island and everything else is destroyed by the prerequisite volcano. When I first heard the title, Island of the Fishmen, and I saw that, the opening and the shipwreckment, I thought this was going to be a story of a bunch of guys fighting for their lives in a survival type horror film against an island full of amphibious creatures. And instead it turned out to be this weird soap opera-ish treasure hunt adventure kind of thing. Little disappointed. I would have liked more fishmen in it. They pop up now and then, but they're just the main thing of the plot is Rackman and his sleazy villainy. Admittedly, all good actors, and they play their parts well, and they do make their characters interesting. Taken on its own without any expectations, it's a good adventure film with some horrific overtones and some mad scientist ranting. The gore, pretty good. Well, it's an Italian film. You gotta expect that. Not as horrific as, like, say, a zombie film, but it's enough for the gorehounds, I think. Although the version I was using for the clips is a TV edit, so I'm not sure if there was more gore or not. And of course, you got Barbara Bach. Always great to see her in a flick, especially a horror film. She always played a good, strong heroine, although she's not given much to do here except kind of control the fishmen. Not like her great Bond, I'd say co-equal in The Spy Who Loved Me. They had a great interplay of trying to one-up each other. And some of her other horror films, she's really good. Of course, she played more of a villainess in Caveman, but and Joseph Cotton's kind of underused, but he gets to rant and rave for a couple of scenes, so that's pretty cool. But of course, it all pales in comparison to Johnson, who just eats the scenery with slick, smarmy villainy. So all in all, it's a fun little adventure film. Might not be for the die-hard horror fan, but for someone looking for a little different than the usual, this is pretty good. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.
better idea. Let's see if you can grow a set of gills without the professor's help.